Hi, my name's Nick, and I am a full-time reseller. And before I get into the promoted listings debacle that we all want to talk about, really quickly, I want to address what visuals you're seeing on the screen. I am kind of pretending like I've made content on this channel for a long time, even though this is my first video. And until I decide to start putting up a video of me talking to you or doing something, I'm going to put up random clips of me playing a video game so people with ADHD and our short attention span people will have something to look at while I'm talking about the discussion for the day or whatever I'm talking about in the video. And ideally, you'd be doing work while you're listening to this and treat it more like a podcast as opposed to a vlog. So not ideal right out of the gate, but I want to get a few videos up and get a feel for YouTube again before I start filming myself and doing full-scale editing and all that. Okay, so we're talking about the promoted listings today and the change that eBay did. I'm going to read this little AI overview just so it's super clear, just in case you don't know what it is already. eBay's promoted listings have changed primarily with the significant update to general campaign attribution effective January 13th, 2026, meaning a sale is attributed and charged if anyone clicks the ad and the item sells within 30 days, regardless of who buys it or if they click the ad. Sellers can manage blah, 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 who cares? Okay, so in other words, basically every item you sell, if you promote an item, it is almost guaranteed to be considered a promoted listing sale, meaning you will be charged whatever you put in when you did the listing. I do 5 or 6%, so I am losing 5 or 6% of every single sale regardless. And there's days where I'll have 3 or 4 organics and 1 or 2 promoted. That means all of my sales that day will most likely be promoted, and I will lose that 5 or 6% when that item sells. Now, onto my take about this and my general kind of my stance and my one of my many goals for 2026 is to not worry about things that I can't change. One of the worst parts about reselling is that we have many things that we can't change. We can't change how much thrift stores charge for their items. We can't change how much eBay's charging us for getting people to see our items, or how much they want to take from us when the item sells, or Poshmark taking 20%. We can't control anything to do with the post office or UPS. They're going to charge what they want to charge. And, I don't know if you've noticed, but the prices just keep going up. So we have a lot of things a lot of avenues or pieces of the reselling business are things we can't change. But one of the things we can change is, and we have the choice to do, is how we react to these kind of things. And personally, I'm reacting with adaptation as opposed to annoyance and dooming and going, oh my God, what are we going to do? This is the end of eBay and I should quit and move on and get a regular job and be miserable. I don't want to do that. So what I'm doing is, for now, is nothing. I'm going to keep an eye on what the sales look like. I'm going to keep an eye on the fees, see what they're actually taking out of each sale. I might change the amount that I promote. I might go a little lower. I might go a little higher. And if I do go higher, one of the things that I will say is that I might be a little bit more quick to send a counter offer to a buyer instead of accepting the whatever percentage they sent me. Let's say I've got something listed for $50 and they offer me 20, let's say $30. I might come back with a counter offer at 38, where I might have been happy with taking the $30 just a few months ago. That's one of the options that we have. We also have the option of being a little bit more discerning about what we're buying. I think it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to sell items that are less than 10 to 50, in that $10 to $15 range or less. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. Now, if you come across hundreds of those items and really enjoy selling like DVDs for $6 or $8, I think that's totally cool. But you are going to want to maybe pay attention to more bulk deals. Try to control the amount you're spending on the item. So you might be losing 25 cents more per sale when the item sells, but you're buying certain items for 25 cents less. Those are things we can control. That's really my goal in 2026. One of my many is to just not let things that I can't control take too much of my mental energy. Using this YouTube channel, and one of the reasons I'm starting it is kind of an outlet to get maybe some of my frustrations eventually out, and just, get them out into the ether, let you guys, agree or disagree, or, maybe you'll feel like I feel and go, hey, yeah, me too. I have that problem as well. But that is kind of the take that I'm going. That's the direction I'm going with this. One of the things that you could do, and one of the things that I'm certainly going to do, and I haven't done for a while, is I'm going to look through my recent sales, maybe the last 90 days. And I sell mostly men's clothing. I sell maybe 40% vintage, 60% modern. I have a mix of other things and some women's clothing and things like that. But generally, the things that I sell the most are men's clothes right now. And I'm curious, and I don't even know the answer to that. And that makes, I'm not doing the due diligence to do the research in my own store to figure out if this is the case or not. But does my vintage clothing sell more promoted or organic? Does my men's clothing, do my men's more expensive items? If I have a Patagonia sweater, better sweater or something like that, if I have that listed, is that something that needs to be promoted, or do they sell so quickly that it won't matter whether it's promoted or not? As long as it's priced correctly, it'll move. And so being a little bit more discerning with the percentages, when I do the listings and I'm flying through them, I'll just throw 5% on and it's fine. And, I didn't really put much thought into it, but maybe being a little bit smarter there will save me a little bit of money. And maybe that's something, if you haven't thought of or haven't implemented that in your own store, you can do that as well. And I think that's one pretty good thing that you can do. Secondly, with the being a little bit more discerning about the offers that you're accepting, the offers that you're sending out. If you normally send out 20% offers to watchers, maybe you start sending 15%. If you send 15, maybe start sending 12 or 10. Maybe spend a little extra, maybe wait a little bit longer for the watcher to, send you an offer. I don't know what's best, but I think we'll spend the next, few weeks or months trying to adjust and figure things out. One of the other options that I think I've noticed is I'm not super convinced that in my store specifically, that, your mileage may vary here, but that sales do much to sell the item. I've sold items 3 days after a sale ended for full asking price, and 3 days before they were 40% off. And I'm like, and I have no idea. The buyer has no idea, and it just, that item was supposed to sell that day for whatever reason. And my sales generally, the sales that I run on the store, I should say, don't usually move that much product. So, and I sometimes I have busier, I'll have more traffic with sales, but the items don't necessarily sell that much quicker. So maybe I'll decide to, hey, the trying to move out old product that I've had for over a year and doing a 40% sale or whatever I choose, maybe I don't do that anymore. Or maybe I put a ceiling on how much my sales can be, and I say, I'm not doing sales over 25% anymore. Another option that we have is how much we charge out of the gate for the item. And if it's an item that you would have, 3 days ago listed at $50, maybe you list the item at, $58 and do a 15% sale right out of the gate. And then you're kind of making up a little extra of that money. You're still running a sale, but the item's actually $1 more expensive, or whatever that math ends up being. But you kind of get what I'm saying. We have some tools in our toolbox here as resellers to adjust and adapt to this change. I do appreciate you. I appreciate you watching. If you made it this far into the video, I would appreciate a subscribe, throw a like on, throw a comment down. I come from a content creating background. I've done it for a long time, on and off, very sporadically. So I'm relatively used to talking and being on camera. And like I said, eventually I'll have a camera and do full videos. But I want to get, a couple dozen videos out first, see what the response from, people in the comments are, where I need to get better. And the videos will get a lot better. But right now we're doing something that, this is a topic that we'll forget about in a month and a half. And this video will become irrelevant. And we will move on to the next eBay disaster. And I'm sure I will be around to cover it. So thanks again for watching. Later.